Hey everybody, it's Stephanie Old World Gamer, along with Scott Devin Kane, Queasy, Paul Nakuso, and Gene Firewind, and we're back for another podcast. And the topic of this podcast is Capcom. They've recently more or less went up for, I guess that they've allowed their shares to be bought now, so technically a company can come in and buy them out and take them over and keep it all for themselves. So that's basically what the whole conversation is going to be about. Potential buyers, what we think can or would happen if those said buyers actually got a hold of them. And yeah, we're just, again, going to give our opinions on each one. So I guess the very first one, and obviously the one that probably jumps to everybody's face immediately, it would be Nintendo. Obviously, Capcom has worked with Nintendo since, like, Nintendo started pretty much.
Yeah, Capcom. I mean, they've been around to do. With the Mega Man games, and they've also produced 4 Zelda games in Oracle of Ages, Oracle Seasons, Four Swords, and Minish Cap. So
Yep.
Nintendo
They also did
would be.
Strider as well, I believe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they've already worked with Capcom to make Mega Man games and Zelda games.
Yeah.
New games could come from this, like new Breath of Fire games, new Mega Man games. How about another Demon's Crest? I mean, a new Demon's Crest after Firebrand being in Marvel vs. Capcom 3? Hint, hint, Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, Final Fight. I demand more respect of the Paipu.
Well, I mean, Capcom's been working with Nintendo recently a lot in the handheld series with Monster Hunter and Phoenix Wright recently too, haven't they?
Oh, yes.
And I mean, they've even had ports for some of the Resident Evil games. So I mean, I don't know if Capcom actually went to Nintendo, I think there's a good chance that maybe Nintendo might get the more. We're no longer just serving to younger people or the whole family-oriented thing. Maybe they could, bring Resident Evil as a forefront series so that maybe they can get the ball rolling on some other new, more interesting games.
Which is kind of sad because I feel Resident Evil maybe 10, 15 years ago was there.
Yeah.
And like for Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2, I mean, when those games first released, those things were just shoved down our throats, and God, I played the ever-living hell out of Resident Evil 2. I mean, a buddy of mine, we sat with 2 TVs facing away from each other. Let's speedrun Leon A and Claire B. Yeah, who's the fastest, blah, blah, blah. Having just, like, a new Resident Evil game that's just produced by Nintendo that have such quality games throughout history, and just, I think it would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. They could probably make a lot better use now with the Wii U being more or less with that new 1-to-1 ratio with the sensor.
Right.
They could probably make a lot better first-person shooter games for people who are, I guess, used to the old type of, almost like those 80s shooters, like the Terminator 2 game and stuff that you used to see in arcades.
Right.
They could potentially do the same thing with Resident Evil. I'm not saying to go directly to that, but I mean, you could have more of a first-person shooter type thing with that now as well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can do that on the Wii.
That's true.
Think of it this way. Having, like, a game, let's just say, like, Time Crisis or something like that, but starring, like, Mega Man. Like, you have, like, instead of the light gun in your hand, you have, like, the little hand cannon, and make a game like that. How awesome would that be? That'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That would definitely be something different.
Yeah, and let's just say, if Nintendo decided to invest in this, imagine what the next iteration of Smash could be. Like, oh man, we got Mega Man in here. Yeah, a Capcom character in a Smash game. Imagine if you have the whole franchise willing to be put in there, like, I'm brain farting, like Ryu or something like that.
Yeah.
How easy would it be to iterate or to put Ryu into Smash? Easy.
Mm-hmm. Sending with what's his name? Is it Dante from Devil May Cry?
Yeah, I mean, Dante was already in a game like this, if we happen to remember PlayStation Battle Royale.
Yeah, we bought that recently. That's not that horrible.
No, you're deluding.
Compared to
yourself.
Smash, I'm sure.
That game's fucking horrible.
You could also have characters that are reasonably popular, like Beautiful Joe, and end up in a Smash Brothers game.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But I think just Nintendo outright I don't know if they're going to be the company that buys out Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, I mean, there's so many
really
other competitors, anyways.
Well,
that
sure.
I mean, even if you look at other developers, not even the big companies that own the consoles, if you just look at other developers alone, I mean, there's some big developers out there that have the money to just easily just grab them up and just take them away, no problem.
Right.
It's just, do they want to? You know.
Right.
So, does anybody else have anything else to put in on the Nintendo debate there?
Yeah, I don't mind going, kind of having my history with Nintendo and a little bit with Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was growing up, I didn't play games like Mega Man. I did play Castlevania, like Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo and all that. Mm-hmm. And growing up with playing some Capcom games, it was mostly on the Super Nintendo, when I had Street Fighter, like Scott was saying. So I think Nintendo would be good right now for a candidate, just because how they're doing right now in the console race against the Xbox One and the PS4.
Yeah.
Of course, Mario Kart 8 has been doing really good getting the sales, but this is a really big opportunity for Nintendo to take up Capcom in order to increase their revenue and also bring a lot of franchises back, because I know Nintendo would actually bring back Mega Man.
Yes, thank God. That would be so good.
I mean, where's Mega Man X9? Dude,
I have no
Nintendo,
idea.
buy it up. Make Mega Man X9.
Actually, Nintendo bought it up so you can be what you used to be. Do you remember when Nintendo was the game company for, from the 80s to the, late 90s? It was only when the N64 and the PlayStation and Xbox came out that they started having any competition, and they tried to stay too much to the, trying to apply their games to everybody. It's like, you can only do so much. I mean, you can't make a game about the Teletubbies and expect that everyone's gonna like it. Like a 30-year-old's not gonna like Teletubbies. There's no way.
Right.
So I mean, get Capcom, bring in some more mature games, bring back the stuff that 10-year-olds can play, and 30. If they had the Mega Man there, that would bring all the groups together completely.
Oh, yeah. Like new Mega Man games would just be amazing. That right there. Just
and it makes sense for them financially as well, because it means if they were to purchase a majority share in Capcom, it means they would no longer have to worry about licensing fees over to Capcom to actually have the games on their system. They also wouldn't have to worry about, any kind of issues going on with, other people trying to put it on their system, because they'd be able to go, oh, well, if you want to put it on your systems, guess who you have to pay? Nintendo.
right.
That's true.
So we pretty much hit it on the head with Nintendo here.
Yeah. So I guess moving on to the next biggest buyer from the console people, Microsoft. Obviously, Microsoft is big in the gaming community. They're more on the mature side, I guess. At least that's what I would think. They do have the money, and they had the Dead Rising series was exclusive to only Microsoft, as far as I know.
It might be.
I think it was.
So I mean, they could easily pick. I mean, they've obviously used and had Street Fighter on their consoles before, so they could easily pick that up.
Right.
And anything else they have, for that matter. I mean, I'd hate to say it, they could easily do Mega Man, but do you want to see Mega Man from Microsoft?
I honestly wouldn't mind seeing Mega Man from Microsoft, but looking at it, I just wouldn't think Microsoft would do it because, well, why would they? They don't have a handheld system.
I'd be afraid of a Mega Man 64 remake. That's what I'd be afraid of. Exactly, see? Not many people have anything good to say about that game, and that was not one of their finest games from the Mega Man series.
Oh, it was not. I mean, every franchise has, that one game that's bleh.
Yeah, that was Superman 64 levels bad.
Right. Not well. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but...
Play that game with those controls today.
I have. Well, they're both bad, but I don't think anything can compare to Superman 64. I think that's just a whole nother story.
But I just don't think they do it. Mainly just because of Monster Hunter and Ace Attorney right now. Mm-hmm. Those are two of their biggest most alive franchises right now. And if Microsoft buys them up, both of those games are completely out the window.
Well, unless they actually pick up those two franchises, in which they would actually break into the Japanese market.
That's true.
I don't think they would, though. I honestly don't think. I mean, Microsoft Studios seems to be, or Microsoft Game Studios, I'm sorry, I should say, seems to be more oriented towards action-based games. And I mean, they have the Dead Rising series. They have Halo, for God's sakes. I mean, jeez.
Yeah,
how can we not mention Halo?
Yeah, well, see, and the thing, like,
So
my primary issue with Microsoft taking over Capcom's franchises would be the fact that they could potentially do something like they did with Halo 4, where, like, they had all the Halo games that were produced by Bungie's studio for a long period of time, and there was a status quo of what Halo was, and then they put out, 2 games with Bungie and Microsoft working together, where you could sort of see the shift into an almost like Call of Duty kind of thing, because they're trying to just kind of make that into another Call of Duty-like franchise. And the community backlashed them when they created Halo 4 and were basically like, yo, what are you guys doing to our game franchise? Because Halo is a pretty straightforward game series. You get a battle rifle, you shoot somebody 4 times in the head, and they're dead. That's what Halo is. That's what Halo's been since day one. Now they added all of this extra gunk into it to kind of make it more advanced, and they kind of need to get back to basics. And then they also did a huge thing with their music score, where they completely took away the definitive soundtrack and audio that people have been familiar with for 7 Halo games, and completely eliminated their normal, just everybody knows what the Halo soundtrack fanfare thing. When you get up over the hill, you're riding in a tank, you know what music is going to be playing in the background. Well, that music was gone. They just said, oh, we're just going to do something completely brand new, and completely screw the fact that there's a franchise here and the people have familiarity with these things, and we're just going to kind of take it our own direction. So I would be a little afraid of Microsoft getting their paws on Capcom, because I have a feeling that they would go into the games that are already there, that are staples, that people are familiar with, and start goofing around with the things inside of it that make them what they are.
Oh, here we go. Microsoft gets Capcom. We're going to get Street Fighter EX 3 Plus. Ugh.
I don't know. With from what you were saying, with how they almost changed Halo into a type of Call of Duty thing. Oh, here comes an ambulance. That's great. But basically, I don't see why Microsoft has to go through the trouble of making another Call of Duty. They already have those. Let Call of Duty be Call of Duty. Just stick to leaving the things that working. Just add to it. Like what a lot of other companies have done with their series that are successful. They kept adding to it, but not changing it to the point where it's like, okay, this is a new game. I don't know why you put the same name on it anymore.
Exactly.
I don't see why he would do that.
And my main other gripe. Oh, go ahead.
And then you run into the situation where Microsoft's primary focus when producing a game is the $sign. They could give 0 fucks about the game community and give almost no respect to the users who play their games on a regular basis.
Right.
Because they're like, we're more worried about making money. We could really care less what you have to say. Where like we could potentially then get a Street Fighter game where the end cast of characters, only 40% of them actually came with the game. The other 60% of the characters and the other 60% of the stages and half the game's storyline comes as DLC that we have to pay $9.99 to download all the new characters. It's like
that's not going to be any different from what Capcom does now.
And the bad thing is about that. Oh, keep going, Tyler.
I mean, I think that when they released the newer Street Fighter games, they were almost forced into that kind of thing, because that's what Sony and PlayStation, that's what their business models are.
Right.
When you buy a game from, say, Nintendo, you buy the game, and it's the game.
Yeah,
There
but
isn't.
take
I mean,
Mario Kart 8
not-
is there's DLC that's coming for that.
I mean,
Of course, there's
Nintendo.
microtransactions are the way of the future.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, Nintendo hasn't really been that big into doing that. So, I mean, I don't expect them to go as, like, balls to the walls with it as Microsoft and Sony have, who have pretty much realized, hey, we can release a product that's only 45% done and put all the rest of the content out as DLC and just continue to make money off of it again and again and again and again. And the general public is just going to continue to eat it like nachos grande.
Well,
that was
DLC
pretty-
itself could be a whole nother topic that we'd
Oh,
probably
yeah.
get on at some point in time anyways, because, yeah.
He was getting to pretty much where I was going to go with this. Is that before we did this podcast, I did a little bit of research about Microsoft Game Studios because they were actually on my list of companies that I didn't want to buy Capcom.
Yep.
And what he was saying is that, you know, we're going to be putting out games that are 40% done. They did that with a lot of games, period. Even ones without DLC. They've made a lot of really bad games. A lot of them. I mean, I went through the list. They must developed like maybe 200 games, and most of them have amazingly terrible Metacritics. So it's like they seem to want to just shit games out and not really worry about how good they are.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, when it comes to Capcom, I expect a quality game because that's the kind of thing that Capcom's given me for 20 years. Quality games. Every game that I've had my hands on that's had the Capcom symbol on it has been quality. Every game.
Well, Microsoft doesn't even have much of a relationship with Capcom to begin with, really.
Right. So this is why, like, Capcom getting their hands on, or Microsoft getting their hands on Capcom, I think would be a disaster.
Yeah, I don't see it happening, really.
Let me also ruin the Banjo-Kazooie series for, you know, Nintendo had.
Yeah, it took away Conquer from us and everything else, for that matter. I mean, I don't know, that was a bit of a piss-off, wasn't it? I mean, they more or less came along and gave us all these different characters in, like, Diddy Kong Racing. They only got to use, the two to make a couple games, Conquer and Banjo, and then they pretty much just said, yeah, that's done now. We can't use any of those characters ever again now. Microsoft owns them.
I mean, yeah, they just, here you go, Microsoft, have Banjo-Kazooie, make it about cars. Yup.
But,
yeah.
anyways, I guess we should probably move on to the next company. Sony. Now, the thing is with Sony, they would have a couple of decent franchises in, like, again, Resident Evil and Devil May Cry, but the thing is, they seem to be, like, one of the worst financially, I guess, they're probably in the worst financial position over the other companies, the other two bigger companies, to go and grab a new developer. Plus, not only that, compared to the other two companies, Sony doesn't really have much in regards to stable, like, series. I mean, they're only just now starting to establish anything, like, really...
Franchises?
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason they're such a good candidate for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the hardware. First off, we've got the PS4, which is a powerhouse. We've got the PS Vita, which is also a powerhouse. It's by far the best handheld on the market right now.
Yeah, but isn't it also one of the lowest coming in regards to how much money it's bringing in?
Sure, but that's because right now they don't have any franchises.
Okay.
Let's see. They've got a powerhouse console and a powerhouse handheld, and let's look at their list of franchises. We've got Ace Attorney, which is already set on handhelds, for sure. People are going to pick up a Vita just to get that. We've got Monster Hunter, which is probably the biggest handheld game on the market next to Pokemon. Could you imagine, like, portable Street Fighter?
Mm.
Or, getting Resident Evil back on just the Sony again, just the PlayStation again. They're in the perfect position to take all these games, just buy Capcom, let them do their own thing, and go back to the PS2 era where they were like the best.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's put it this way. You mentioned Street Fighter in a handheld, and the 3DS did that already, and it was terrible.
Did it?
It was god awful.
Yeah,
It was so dumb. It was
Okay.
so bad. But
But do you think that the hardware that the Vita would offer over the 3DS or anything would be any better? It may potentially open up more.
The Vita's control scheme is definitely a lot better than any DS's controller
Yes.
has been thus
That-
far.
that is without
Stuff.
yeah,
right
that is
here.
without question. The Vita is probably, if you want to like just say, hey, even just port old games. I mean, I was at a gaming store the other day watching a guy play Final Fantasy X on a handheld. Like, what the hell, really?
And that's
Okay.
with the way they've got their thing set up. You can play a lot of the console games on the Vita.
I think it would
lets you do that
actually.
down thing.
I mean, they've already done like a whole Mega Man thing with not the Vita, but
PSP.
PSP. Like they had, didn't they have like Mega Man Hunters or something like that?
They had a 3D side-scrolling Mega Man.
Yeah. I think it was Mega Man Hunters.
Battle Network was on there as well.
Was it?
Yes.
I thought that was on the Game Boy Advance.
Mega Man.
I'm pretty sure it ended up on PSP as well.
Was it Mega Man Maverick Hunter X? That was it. And I thought it looked all right. I mean, you're playing all the old classic games on it, and looks great. I think it would be worth it for Sony to pick up Capcom.
Oh hell yeah! They already have a long-standing history of working with them, and honestly, just for the state of the industry, I would rather see Sony pick up all these things as exclusives and have some firepower against Nintendo, just because competition breeds better stuff. Makes everybody try harder. So it's only going to end well for the. I see it as only ending well for gamers in the end if Sony would pick it up, and we can go back to the days when Sony and Nintendo were actually battling it out head to head.
Right.
Where you lived in a generation where you actually wanted to own every console.
Yeah. Oh, and I stand corrected. Battle Network was ported in only a few countries to PSP, but was not ported in Europe or the United States.
Okay.
There's one that was ported. It's called Mega Man Powered Up. And that is basically taking the old Mega Man style, and it was for the PSP. It's not a really well-known game, but that's really the closest that we'll have to a 3D-ish side-scrolling Mega Man game.
Yeah, Powered Up was oh God, I'm sorry. A remake of the original Mega Man series, or not series, but the original Mega Man game. Just like everybody's chibi-ized or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, jeez, that's kind of weird.
I could deal with that. I'm used
It's
to
for all the otaku out there.
Nintendo's different art styles. I'm sure I can get used to it.
But I just think the main thing is the last bunch of Mega Man X games were all on PlayStation. The last bunch, or PS2, I should say. I'm sorry, was on PS2. We got new handheld Mega Man games on the Vita or PSP. I keep saying Vita. That right there alone just says that there's enough that they could do this. Make new Mega Man games, like Mega Man X9. Here you go, PS4. Here's something new to do. You want to relaunch some new Battle Network stuff? The Vita's right there. And what's not saying that the Castlevania series, or the Castlevania, what the hell am I talking about? Breath of Fire series could use a real new revamp. I said Castlevania, I don't know why I said that. But one of my favorite RPGs of all time is the Breath of Fire series, and it just has disappeared.
Oh shit! A lot of Capcom's games have disappeared. What about Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Buster Brothers?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a lot of games that they got rid of that were really fucking awesome, and they just pushed them away.
They literally have a plethora full of stuff that's already been featured on their past consoles. Why not get these franchises back, make new Mega Man games, make a PS4 Strider game. Holy crap.
Yeah,
Well, didn't Strider do pretty good, the new releases of
The
it?
new release was okay. I thought the game was great, but I don't think it really did all that super well. But
Hey.
I think that they brought a home port of a new Strider game for PS4, okay.
And just think about this. For those of us that had Dreamcasts when they existed, we could actually see a Power Stone game.
Oh, that would
on
be
PlayStation
nice.
4.
Oh,
Power Stone was such an amazing franchise on
One of
that
the-
system.
one of the
And
best
I
and
would
most
say,
balanced fighters of
Yep.
all time.
and I would say, I would probably, I mean, and no offense to Nintendo, because Smash Brothers is an amazing franchise, and they could use a little bit of work on it after Brawl, but I mean,
15
Power Stone
year old game.
definitively, I would turn on Power Stone 100 times before I'd play a round of Smash Brothers.
Oh hell yes! And dude, you guys don't know. Well, I guess if you saw, the Manly Fights channel for whatever I uploaded,
I've
me and
played that
Queasy
before.
are like, we're pretty big players of Smash. I would literally drop Smash for Power Stone any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
You didn't play nearly as much Power Stone as me and Gene did. Oh man,
Oh God,
I don't think I ever played Power Stone.
It's good.
it is amazing.
we played Power Stone until the memory cards and our controllers died, and then it stopped reading the disc.
Yep.
Yeah, the
Well,
memory
let's put it
cards-
this way: Power Stone did Final Smashes 15 years before Brawl was ever made.
Wow.
And the thing
So
is,
so did Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat with all the super attacks.
No. Imagine what like Final Smashes are. Yeah, obviously, we know what Final Smashes are. Well, shut up. You know what it is. But every character in the game could do it all at once, and but the thing is, though, how Final Smashes and Brawl were like, here's this stupid overpowered crap, and nobody can do anything about it. In Power Stone, they get all three of the stones and get superpowered. It was up to you not to suck to not get hit. I mean, some of them were strong and some of them weren't, but in the end, character balance made the game so good. You could not look at one person on the Power Stone roster and go, this person versus this person is a 10v0. Because it just doesn't exist. The character balance in the game is simply that good. And getting like a next gen Power Stone,
Oh,
holy crap.
that would be amazing.
Anyways, we should probably get back to the actual topic of
Yeah.
companies who are, I guess, candidates for buying Capcom. The next one on the list that I have here, and this was in no particular order, I just had the three console companies up at the top, but the next one I have listed here is actually Square Enix. That was actually one of the suggestions and one of the topics that I seen brought up was that Square Enix has a possibility, just for the fact that then they could reach out, I guess, more easily towards the Western market, because Capcom already has so many established, I guess, franchises here in North America.
So let's see. What would we get out of Squeenix? We get Breath of Fire with Disney characters.
Yeah. Okay. let me stop.
Mickey Mouse.
Okay, stop.
yeah.
The more you talk, the more I'm disgusted.
4 words for that simple possibility. Kill it with fire.
Yeah. I have a list of 3 companies that I want Capcom to get and 3 companies that I don't. Square Enix is one of the companies I don't want Capcom to get. Or Square Enix to get Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
Square Enix has done nothing but disappoint me over the last 10 years. The last game that I actually enjoyed by Square Enix was Final Fantasy X, and even then, the quality of the game is heavily up for debate. Unlike other Square RPGs from the past, like Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII, or Chrono Trigger. I mean, everything that they've made over the last over the last 10 years has been nothing but Final Fantasy games that just don't seem to make the cut anymore. They're not the same quality of RPGs like they used to be. And owning a company like Capcom really isn't going to improve that. It'll make them throw characters into places they don't belong.
Well, now,
Like
if
Final
they can
Fantasy.
get... Okay, looking outside of the whole Kingdom Hearts bullshit, because I completely understand. I don't know. I always wondered that when I first seen the game come out too. Why are they putting Final Fantasy characters and Disney characters together for an RPG? It made no sense. But that has its own, audience base, and there's people that fucking love that game would probably like rape you with a fork because you're bad mouthing it. But besides that, I think there have been some other decent games that Square Enix has put out since Final Fantasy X, particularly from the Dragon Quest series.
Oh yeah, I love the
Okay,
Dragon
yeah,
Quest
all
series.
right.
But I will agree with you. In regards to just Final Fantasy itself, yeah, it's been disappointing as of late. I'm not saying that all the games that they put out have been completely shit, but I think when they decided to start going into the MMO direction, that's when they started losing a lot of their fan base, because a lot of their fan base, the MMO thing wasn't such a huge thing. It was like, at least for me, I barely knew all about like this EverQuest stuff and all that other crap. So I only knew them for Final Fantasy. But when I heard that they were doing this and you had to pay in order to play and all this stuff, and that lost interest right immediately. I was like, okay, I'm just a guy in high school. I don't have money to buy my own games, let alone to pay for the same game every month. So I think that's when they started to lose that kind of crap anyways. But I will agree with you. If there is potential, because both companies themselves make such great games, or they did once upon a time, that if they got together, maybe they could learn from each other's mistakes and maybe become something a little bit better. But at the same time, like you said, there's the Kingdom Hearts thing. If they start, throwing random characters into other games and they don't belong there, then it's just going to be awkward, and it's just going to put both companies potentially into the toilet.
All right, I know I was the one who started the bad mouthing, but I'll come to their defense here a little bit. Honestly, with Capcom's the way they do their Versus series, Capcom versus SNK and whatever, I'd really like to see a Capcom versus Square Enix game. Get a bunch of Final Fantasy characters, things like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. And the Final Fantasy writers still have it. They just can't come up with characters anymore. It's one of the big problems with Final Fantasy games. So if they could take a series like Ace Attorney and still run with it pretty well, because they still have the writers, they just can't do characters anymore.
Yeah.
So they'd be able to, if they can stick to what they already have, I could see them doing some good things. Yeah. And I would like to see if they were going to do it, because a few years ago, Capcom bought Clover. I would very much like to see, either from Sony or from Square Enix, an Okami too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Jeez, I forgot about that game.
Yeah. Or how about Beautiful Joe? I mean, that'd be awesome by Square Enix.
Yeah, it seemed like Beautiful Joe did have a pretty big audience for that as well.
Yeah, and Beautiful Joe is one of the best GameCube selling games when it was out.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the most difficult too, and yeah, I could actually see Beautiful Joe being in with that company. It would actually be pretty good if they did.
Well, also, Beautiful Joe was an action game, and Square's really not known for their action games.
Well,
this is the problem.
Yeah, they
you didn't like the concept. I'm not sure if it's really considered an action game, but as much as you didn't like the concept, Kingdom Hearts was actually a fairly decently done game as far as gameplay was concerned. If you could,
sure.
If you could ignore all the Disney stuff,
voice acting,
the game is solid.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't think Kingdom Hearts is a good game. It's an all right game. It's just for me, it was like this doesn't feel like it's right to have this character interacting with this character. It's like at the time, Final Fantasy VIII was the thing. So like, let's throw Squall into it. Let's throw Eris into it.
It was something that you'd expect from Disney, but not from Square.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it was. Is that you weren't expecting Square to come out with a game like that, but if it was Disney coming out with the game, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, they just got permission from Square, that's cool. But when you find out that it was actually Square who said, hey, let's get some Disney characters in there, they can fight with keys and stuff.
Yeah, it just didn't feel right. I think if maybe that sort of stuff wasn't present in the game, I might have liked it more.
Then you'd probably like the newer ones. They have a lot less Disney relevance to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if it's the Disney relevance that I'm having the problem with. I think it's the Square relevance that I'm having the problem with.
And to be completely honest, I mean, you were saying about them having their brawlers and their fighting games. Squeenix did attempt a while ago to produce a fighting game with their characters in their franchise. It was
Dissidia.
called, well, yeah, they did Dissidia, but they also then did their Final Fantasy stuff all together in Air Guys, and Air Guys was terrible.
Yeah, that was
Oh
on PS1.
God! Don't get me wrong. I thought Air Guys was okay, but
There was no
like,
balance in it whatsoever.
the main characters of the game were nice and balanced, and then you throw characters like Cloud into it and Sephiroth into it, where it's like they are so much on a higher tier than everybody else. It's like it ruined the game.
Yeah, the game skipped from like here we have tier 3, and then just skipped over 2 and 1 and just had Squall or had Cloud and Sephiroth on God tier, like up there laughing at all the rest of the characters, going, "Ha ha ha ha! We kill you every time we play."
Yeah, in my opinion, Squeenix games or Squeenix characters just don't belong in fighting games. I don't think they do, unless you have a game like Dissidia, which in itself wasn't bad.
Yeah, I enjoyed Dissidia.
It was actually a decently done game. It was completely unique in the way that they did it, and I thought that it was done beautifully. And the fact that they just kept Final Fantasy characters in it, I think, is what made the game all right. You start throwing other things into it, not so much. Just leave Square alone, do your own thing, and don't mess with things that aren't Square.
Yeah.
Who would bring a sword to a key fight? Cloud would look at Ryu, and Ryu would be like, by the way, Shinku Hadouken. Have a nice day, buddy.
I think we're pretty mixed on whether or not Squeenix would be a good choice. I think Squeenix should just stick with RPGs and just leave the action characters of Capcom alone.
Okay, well, I guess we could probably move on to the next company I have on the list, which is, hopefully on some of your lists, Sega.
Yep, that's on my list.
Yeah, so they're obviously, well, they used to be a console, obviously, once upon a time, so they're obviously in more need of franchises than anybody, I think. But they had a lot of good series. Sega had a lot of good series. I mean, they had Sonic, they had Phantasy Star, they didn't they do Bayonetta as well?
Yes.
Bayonetta.
But anyways, what I was getting at is that imagine having the people and from Capcom who know how the series should go, working on those series and being able to actually, push them forward a little bit more than what they have been. I mean, we could have a better Phantasy Star game. We have better Sonic games instead of, 06.
Sega was a publisher. It was developed by Platinum Games.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's... But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. Instead
Yeah.
of having just that again, they could give it to Capcom or the Capcom developers to do it. And, I mean, I think they would do a great job. I mean, if they took anything from, like, Mega Man type games and applied to Sonic, I'm not saying that make it into a shooting game or anything or a platformer, but you know what I'm saying. Just more or less being able to take things from their good series, their good franchises, and apply it to Sega's franchises.
Return Sonic to 2D, please.
That
Exactly.
could have worked out, but I'm never going to trust Sega to do anything right ever again.
Yeah, that's... I'm kind of in between on that, too. I just... I don't know. I was a Nintendo fanboy, so
Yep.
I really don't want to input on this because I would just hate on Sega for the sake of it.
Yeah.
So my opinion here is kind of jaded.
Well,
I mean-
the other thing about Sega is that they probably don't have the money to be able to buy
That too.
up Capcom, so...
That too. I mean, they've struggled enough that they went from an actual game console company to a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, the thing is, Sega's been doing better over the year. They're like getting a little bit back into it. They did buy Atlas, which is the Persona series, if you're all familiar with that series, but they're kind of not doing anything great with it, which is kind of one of my concerns. And that's like one of, a great RPG, JRPG, I should say. And I don't know about Sega. I mean, Sonic Generations was like bringing Sonic back since it did add like the 2D element, Scott. But at the same time, added the 3D element. Then Lost World got mixed reviews. Some love it, some hate it, and it kind of depends on that. But with Sega growing up, they did have a lot of great games for the consoles. Competing with Nintendo.
A lot of them were just hidden, and a lot of them just weren't as, I guess, advertised as the Nintendo ones were because Nintendo cornered most of the market.
Yeah, at that point.
At the time.
I would love to see a new Road Rash game.
Oh God, yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I can't lie. I'd actually.
Yeah, play the crap out of that.
Yeah.
But how about like Sega doesn't like money.
On the whole racing thing? How about like a new Outrun?
Ooh, yeah, that'd be great.
Or even how about this, guys? Next gen Golden Axe.
Oh, they could really do justice to Golden Axe. If they had Capcom would do justice to Golden Axe now.
I completely backtrack on what I said. Sega would be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, now that you delve a little deeper, remember their dead series.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you look at some of the games that Sega has, like, they had some great series. They just need a better push on it. And if they had someone like Capcom, they could probably get that push.
Outside of the obvious Sonic, we are forgetting, like, one of the greatest franchises that they had. Shinobi.
There's, what was the fighting? They had a bunch of fighting games, too.
When did they have Killer Instinct?
No, that was rare.
Rare.
Oh, that was rare. Oh.
What was that one where everybody's animals?
Primal Rage?
The other one where everybody's animals.
Was it Altered Beast? You think?
No. Okay.
Altered Beast is Sega, though. Everybody.
Yeah. Everybody can, like, transform to animals, like the ones a tiny little girl turns into a cat.
Oh,
I would say
that's Primal Rage. Or Primal Rage. What he said. Duh. Now I'm brain farting.
Everybody's like retarded all of a sudden.
Yes.
All of a sudden?
All of a sudden. Wow.
Bloody Roar.
Bloody Roar.
Okay.
Bloody Roar wasn't Sega though, was it?
No, it was Konami.
Hudson Soft.
Yeah.
Hudson
Soft.
Oh God.
There you go.
Woo.
Yeah. We'll move on from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking. Sorry, Streets of Rage is what I was thinking.
Streets of Rage. Yeah, that's also not too bad. But yeah, a new Golden Axe. Come on.
That would be magnificent.
That would be great.
Okay, so moving on, Namco Bandai.
I kind of overlooked Namco. I
don't they make anymore?
I mean, they're as classic as Capcom are. I mean, they've had Pac-Man forever.
I mean, they've had Pac-Man forever, but when I think of Namco Bandai, I go right to Soul Calibur and
Dark Souls.
Don't break what's already fixed, or don't break what's already not broken. I don't think that they would benefit at all from anything in Capcom.
Anybody else have any input on that?
I don't think I play any of their games, so except Dark Souls, I guess. Somebody said that was one of theirs.
Yeah, Dark Souls is one of theirs.
I think that's it.
You know what? When I first initially saw this, I was just thinking about some of the awesome games that have come out in combination series between Capcom and other developers, and it would almost kind of be a little bit spiteful, but also probably beneficial for SNK Playmore to buy them.
I was that was one of my on the bottom of the list because they've already worked with that company and just created one of the best fighting games of all time in Capcom versus SNK. But
Arc of the Millennium.
But Namco Bandai has already worked with Capcom in the whole Tekken versus Street Fighter series.
Mm-hmm.
And Tekken versus Street Fighter is kind of like or Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I'm sorry. That makes a difference. Trust me.
Yeah.
But
yes.
It makes a big difference. They're already working with Capcom, so
it's possible.
Maybe.
Again, it was just one of the ones that I seen there for one of the potential buyers.
They
Yeah,
make
I
a lot
mean-
of fighting games. I know that much from Namco. Like at least these days, they make like tons of
Tek-
fighting games.
Yeah.
Tekken and like I said, Street
Soul
Fighter,
Calibur.
Soul Calibur, which needs a new game.
A good game. A new
Hey,
good Soul Calibur.
Dude, Soul Calibur 5 is being played in Evo, fool. Get out of here.
Just make Soul Calibur 2 again. Same way you did it last time.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed Soul Calibur 2.
Because that's
Let's
going to
see.
happen.
I want to actually play the game again.
Because that's going to happen, man. We're never going to see that happen again.
Damn. Well, that's alright.
I guess moving on to the next one on my list is Disney Interactive.
No, no, fucking no.
Now, the only thing that the big thing that they were trying to say was that the whole Marvel versus Street Fighter.
Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've already ruined that legacy.
yeah.
We'll probably never see a versus series game again with Marvel. It's sad, but it's probably true. Not only that, it's Disney. No.
Well, one of the other arguments against it was that because Disney recently also grabbed LucasArts, that they'd probably end up ignoring some of the series even more so than they're being ignored now. I mean, obviously they have the money to go and get it, but I mean,
And let's just
what
put it
will they
this
do
way.
with it is the big question. I mean,
I would rather see Dante dead than in a fucking Kingdom Hearts game.
I would pay
You
money
can-
to see that.
You can kiss my
Yes.
white ass if you don't like that. I am sorry.
Also,
Dante ever shows himself in a Kingdom Hearts game, I quit life. Nope.
well,
So done.
I don't know. I think Disney could do pretty good if they manage to stick to the franchises the way they are, let Capcom do their thing.
Let's
I think
just
they do all right.
let's just
They
put
got
it this
all
way.
the money in the world, so
that's true. If they just gave Capcom their go ahead to just do whatever they want and just pour the money into it, yeah, that would.
And with
Okay.
LucasArts,
But
we
that
might
is-
get another Star Wars or X-wing versus Tie Fighter, and I would literally give them my soul for that. So.
Let's just wait a year or two, see how bad they fuck up Star Wars 7, and have this conversation again then. Then we'll see how much we would have wanted them to have Capcom then.
Yeah, that's
Because
a good
trust
way of
me,
putting it.
Because trust me, you can go back and quote me on this, they are gonna fuck up Star Wars 7.
Nope, it's gonna be awesome.
It
They're-
could be, but
They
Disney
are-
has made a lot of great movies, so I'm kind of like,
Of course they have. They've made a lot of great movies, but they're gonna fuck up Star Wars. They're just gonna do it.
Nope.
I think
done.
LucasArts did that itself when it created the prequel series.
Yeah. I'm done. I can't say anything more than I've already said. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
I was gonna say, remember the "kill it with fire" comment? You would skip straight over fire and go directly to a nuke.
Whoa,
Yeah. No,
Jesus.
I want to see Dante with a Keyblade.
And I want to see you shit a brick.
Jesus. Okay, next one on the list is Activision.
Yeah, Activision. Yeah, next one.
I
I-
knew that everyone was not
I-
going to enjoy that one.
I think you guys already have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, we
of
know
my
you hate
opinion of Activision.
I forgot about
No.
that too.
I-
Yeah.
I would probably walk around and just shit on every employee's car of that company if they had the ability to. And you know what? I would do jail time for it if I had the time to do it. Because those guys have... Activision has killed the actual, like, customer service of so many good franchises. That just enrages me to a level in which I want to just burn down their building.
Just imagine, get a fresh Mega Man every year.
Yeah,
That's
and
one
then,
way of
and
looking
then
at it. But
when you buy your Mega Man from the
Yeah.
store with a broken disc, and you ask them for their replacement policy, which is on the inside of the disc case that says, if your disc is broken, call this number. And then they ask you, did you open the box? Oh, yes, I opened the box. Oh, well then your replacement policy is void.
Yeah.
Okay, and
That's
there you go. And next year, the next expansion of World of Warcraft, the Buttholes of the Maelstrom. If you pre-order now, you can get your your Mega Man Rush mount absolutely free. Yay!
God, no. Okay, no.
Moving the fuck on.
Okay, moving on then.
Wait, before you move on, they also ruined the Crash Bandicoot series.
Yes.
Moving on again.
What's Crash Bandicoot?
Oh man.
Did he just say what's Crash Bandicoot?
I'm kidding.
Sarcasm. Moving on. Activision is a big nope.
Apparently, one of the, I guess, more out there kind of candidates that was mentioned was Amazon Game Studios. Apparently, they're trying to make like their own type of console thing going.
Damn it. Never mind then. Bad idea.
And they, yeah, actually, going back to where you said about Killer Instinct, apparently the developer for Killer Instinct was Double Helix, and they were recently acquired by Amazon Game Studios.
Yep.
And they also made the latest Strider game as well, so
Yep.
there is potential there for that to work. It's just we haven't seen enough of Amazon. That's what I'm worried about, is that we haven't seen enough of them in the gaming industry to actually trust them with Capcom, I guess, or at least for fan base too.
The fighting game community's butts are puckered and waiting to see what's going to happen with Killer Instinct, because we don't know. They got everything in season 1, and now that season 2's coming around, all of a sudden they're no longer owned by Double Helix. So all of the things that were promised for season 2, we don't know if we're getting them anymore. So all those people that invested all that time into Killer Instinct, we don't know what's happening yet. We don't know if we're going to get Cinder. We don't know if we're going to get Kim Woo or Tusk or whoever we're supposed to be getting.
Any of the characters that are actually worth playing.
But I mean, if they're going out there and buying up these companies like this and getting ready to try and put out their own console, then
no.
I mean, Amazon is what? Has subsidiary Google, right? Does Amazon own Google, or does Google own Amazon?
Neither. They're both private companies.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They're both big evil corporations of their own right.
Listen, I don't think the best place for a company who has such a reputation as Capcom, I don't think that it's in their best interest to go to a brand new console, because if your release titles are going to be Capcom, they had better be godlike, or forget it. You are dead.
Wait, you just put those two words together. You said if they're going to be Capcom, they have to be godlike. I mean, there's very little that Capcom's put out that people have been disappointed in.
This is what I'm saying. So, if they're acquired by this studio, you'd better make good games.
And Amazon has the money, obviously, to pump into it. So, I mean, it's the same thing that they said with the Disney thing. If they just say, here, Capcom, you're there working with us and owned by us, but we're just going to keep giving you lots of money, and you guys are going to keep saying, okay, thanks, we're going to keep making awesome games. Hey. Like I said, it does have a really big potential on that point, but where it's so new, I agree, it could be a disaster at the same time.
And think, it could mean that you could potentially buy your next Capcom game from Amazon.com and have it delivered to your house by UAV.
There you go. Whatever.
They are starting to do that.
What I'm saying is that I think it's a 50-50 coin flip. It's either going to be amazing or it's going to be disastrous. There is no middle ground there.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're jumping into a market blind.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they were going to do it, buying Capcom would be in their best interest. At least they got a name.
Sure.
Well, I would argue
but I don't see why they're on a console.
Yeah, and I really wouldn't say that they would be going into it blind because they're one of the largest retailers, so they probably have enough purchase data in regards to video games and consoles to be able to identify whether it would be financially solvent for them to purchase Capcom.
That too. 50-50 coin flip.
Yeah, I'm with you. It'd either be a train wreck or it'd be the next best thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so the last thing I have on my list is the entire mobile industry.
No.
Oh no.
God.
No.
No. They've
Please,
already
no.
tried this with Capcom. It's already proven to be horrible. No.
Okay.
Mega Man on
God,
your
no.
iPhone.
No. The
17.
actual argument was the whole Monster Hunter. That was the only argument that they could make with the whole mobile
They've
thing.
released them on DS or the DS series for how long now? Why would you change that?
No, but that's what I'm saying. If they were bought up from the mobile industry, that's what I'm saying. That's the only point that they made as a viable one, is that Monster Hunter might be able to work on something like that. But as for the other games, I'm sorry. I've tried playing emulators on my phone, and I have the big ass Sony phone that looks like a tablet, and I still hate playing emulators on it because it's still too small, and my fingers are still covering part of the screen when I'm playing. And that's, I'm sure, part of the emulator's fault, but still, like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with having to fucking flip my phone around and stuff to make shit move. I'm not interested. And I completely agree with you guys. I do not want to see Capcom go with mobile anything. Fuck that.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
the only possibility where that could potentially be good is if a mobile developer were going to purchase Capcom and create an independent Capcom handheld to release games on. Where like it would
be silly. Why
would
wouldn't
be
they just
horrific.
release? Why wouldn't they just release a peripheral for the phones?
Exactly.
I mean, they're already doing that. There's a little controller thing that you can buy, plugs into your Android, and it runs everything like it's a controller.
There you go. So, disastrous.
So, I guess that's pretty much the end of what I have to say, because I'm pretty sure none of us are really going to go for the mobile thing. So,
Yeah.
if you guys have any other candidates that I haven't brought in, then by all means.
I cannot believe that through this whole conversation, we've overlooked Konami.
I had Konami on my list.
I mean, with the extensive character library between Konami and Capcom, they could go places. Could you imagine, like, maybe a cameo of Mega Man in a Contra game? Or Dante in a Castlevania game? How well would Dante fit into Castlevania?
Okay, that would work. I was not agreeing with Mega Man and Contra, though.
So
why not?
Like
it's
Dante-
literally walking sideways and shooting a gun. What is
Yeah,
Mega
but
Man
that's.
do?
But I'm talking about the
Jumping
whole
ship man.
environment itself. Like, I just don't see Mega Man in a jungle shooting anything other than robots.
No, it would be like a cameo thing. It wouldn't be, you know,
It would be like
when
a
you
bonus skin.
when you do a Bill or yeah, there you go. When you do a Contra game, obviously your main characters are going to be Bill Reiser and X, whoever
Yeah.
else is going to be. Bill Reiser is definitely always going to be the star of Contra. But like, say, after you beat a game, you can unlock characters. Why not? Why can't Mega Man be one of them, or X or something like that? I think X would fit great into into Contra, but Dante in a Castlevania game, oh, that makes me rock fucking hard. Let me tell you right
you could
now.
Even do something. You could even do something with the Mega Man franchise and Castlevania and throw Zero into a Castlevania game.
There you go. And let's put it this way: if we're on like the subject of, you know, Versus series, Konami versus Capcom, Ryu, Ken, and Strider versus Alucard, Snake, and Simon. Yep.
I would do that.
Well,
Yep.
another thing that we haven't really thought about is that if it goes to one of these developers instead of a console, you know, company, then they potentially can still have Capcom on any fucking system they want.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Konami is like the second best candidate for this whole thing.
Mhm.
Just because if you put Konami and Capcom together, they've got so many godlike characters that they could just do whatever they wanted to do with. Like the possibilities are endless, because Konami already does. They do action, they do side scrollers, they do, you know, They do fighters. I mean,
They
even
do
though
music games.
Do
fighters
movies.
are terrible, but
Yeah.
and movies. Oh my God, a Mega Man X movie! Come on, why hasn't it happened already?
Scott, seriously, do I
No,
need to bring
stop.
up any other video game movie ever? Seriously, ever?
Terrible idea.
Double Dragons, Super
What's-
Mario.
Okay, all right, well, whatever. The animated Mega Man X movie was good,
Yes, it was.
so there.
It was amazing.
So was the animated Mega Man cartoon.
It was. I
Yes,
enjoyed
that
it.
too.
What? No. But anyway, but
For its time.
the two
It was
together, I think would be great.
My only concern with that is that Capcom has this terrible tendency to take its really good game franchises and take forever to bring them to other markets.
Hmm.
You're not joking.
I mean, there are Konami games that are on the slate that have been out in Japan that we're waiting to receive here in the United States that we won't get our hands on till 2016.
Shin Megami Tensei, Persona. Enough said.
We're just all sitting over here and we're like, by the time it actually gets released in the United States, there won't be anybody to buy it because everybody's already imported it.
Right.
Hmm.
But I think I'm gonna just. This is for me personally. I think another game developing studio that should pick up Capcom should be NetherRealm Studios. NetherRealm has done nothing but make perfection in the last few years, like with Mortal Kombat 9 and Injustice. Can you imagine if NetherRealm got their hand on Street Fighter characters and made a game like that? How godlike would that be? Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter has been the subject of countless internet speculations, so why not make it a real thing?
That's true. That would be pretty crazy to see.
They did Arkham City.
I mean, it's been done already. Mortal Kombat's already been put against other people, like Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, but let's not bring that up. Besides,
Kill it with fire!
that was Midway and Warner Brothers, and not NetherRealm Studios. So, with the last Mortal Kombat installment in MK9 was gorgeous. It was great. It played well, and they played it at Evo. Injustice, their battles or the combat system in that is really good. They caught the flaws in it very quickly, fixed it, played at Evo. Enough said. NetherRealm Studios makes good enough games that they continuously are featured at Evo. Why not try your hand at a Street Fighter game?
Not to mention they're working on the new Mortal Kombat 10, which looks amazing.
Mortal Kombat 10 looks godlike. I cannot wait to get my hands on that game. And if they took like their style of fighting, like that 2D, 3D thing that they've done with Mortal Kombat and Injustice, and did that with Street Fighter characters, oh god, it would be what like the Street Fighter EX series tried to do but failed. But that's my thing. Other companies that I would say like honorable mentions, I think, like Gene said, SNK. They worked with Capcom before, making arguably one of the best fighting games ever made in Capcom versus SNK 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be opposed to a third installment. I'm not really holding my breath on that, but Epic Games, like I love me some fucking Gears of War, and I would actually like to see a Devil May Cry game made in such a style. I'm not actually kidding. I mean, if Capcom can do something like that with like Monster Hunter, I mean, imagine Epic Games worked on a Monster Hunter game.
They also would be really good with Devil May Cry, May Cry series too.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think
Epic
that
has
would be.
been around the block for a long time. I mean, they've been around forever. So it's not like they're a no-name studio just kind of chilling in the background going, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, hell, our first PC that we ever had as a family had some epic games on it. Like Epic Pinball. Woo! God, we played the crap out of that.
Oh God, Android.
And dude, Epic Games made God of War, or Gears of War. Take Capcom stuff and make some good games. Like Capcom has failed to do recently. Or failed, I can't say that. I can't say that they haven't made any good games. Use the franchises you've been ignoring and make some good games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done. I'm letting other people talk now.
Does anybody else have any companies on their list that we looked over?
Well, we got like what, two other options? Well, two that I can think of: EA and Valve. Which I know EA is just nobody's gonna.
No,
Please, no.
They have the
Don't.
money, but I don't think anyone's gonna want that.
Nobody wants it.
You really have just put like the little beady red dot on your forehead with
Yeah,
that.
I want a Mega Man Sims game.
And Valve. I'd like to see Valve just because I want to see all those games put on PC.
Mega Man Sims. That would be great.
That would be pretty cool.
Going to drink an energy tank.
id Software. I'm just kidding. They wouldn't have anything to do with Capcom. I just wanted to plug how much I like the new Wolfenstein game. Good job, guys.
Oh God.
I do think Valve would be a decent company just because they're like my top three, just because they're one of the best, if not the best, for the PC market. And that could be a good thing because they are coming out with a console. They're all on top of console, and that could be a good opportunity for them to also have it for the people who play consoles, and will also open up to the people on the PC. So I guess it gives more options.
Let me correct you there.
Exclusive that console really needs.
They're not actually coming out with their own console. They are licensing companies to produce consoles for them.
Oh.
They don't actually have their own console that they're making, like how Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo make their own systems. They said, here's our specs, here's our minimum requirements, make a gaming console for us. And I think like there's 4 or 5 major ones that'll actually be at a market value where you could actually see it being a console, but the actual like systems themselves are just super glorified gaming computers.
Are you guys talking about the Valve putting out the Steam machine?
Yeah, that's what
Something like that.
Steam machine.
I'm pretty sure they've put up a release date or something for that, didn't they?
Yeah, it says 2014 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not per se one individual system. It's actually a
It looks just like a
conglomeration
computer
of
to me.
systems.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
It
pretty
pretty
much
much
just a
is.
glorified computer with controller ports.
so is every console.
So is every computer. I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't really say that a Nintendo 64 is a computer, really. It's not. It runs cartridges. And, I mean, well, some of the next generation systems are almost sort of like computers. They don't really have the operation system kind of thing going on with it. And from what it seems like, what they're trying to do with the Steam box, it's going to have that like browser where it would be, almost as if you're running Steam on a dedicated platform.
Oh yeah, it's gonna have its own OS.
You mean how
Entertainment
like
is
The
not a
Steam
one-site.
OS.
Sony and Xbox both have their own browsers and operating
That's cool.
systems. It's the exact same thing.
Entertainment is not a one-size-fits-all world. We want you to be able to choose the hardware that makes sense for you, so we're working with multiple partners to bring a variety
That's
of
what she
Steam
said.
game machines to market during 2014. All of them running Steam OS.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
And it's
the same as any other PC. It's the OS that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
I don't know. I think it has potential.
Yeah, but then people are gonna be like, "Nah, I've already got a computer. I'll just have Steam on my computer. Done."
Yeah, it's like
Which is
it's
fine,
like why?
'cause I can still play Mega Man and Monster Hunter on my computer at that point.
Yeah,
And
and I
it's
mean,
that.
my primary thing with that is just at that point, I mean, I can kind of see why they want to do it, because they want to try to get the PC gaming and the PC gaming community out to the console gamers. Because as of right now, either you're a PC gamer or you're a console gamer, and very rarely do you see people who are primarily both. I mean, you get some people who are major console gamers who kind of delve and splash into PC games every once in a while, and then you get PC gamers who, will kind of chill and, play on Halo or Smash Brothers or something every once in a while when they're hanging out with their friends. But in their own homes, you're one or the other. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to expand that PC gaming into the console universe, which I applaud them for. But I have a feeling that so many people who are just the PC gamers, and like if you start throwing controllers into the mix there, will you start having PC games that are made with controller-only controls?
Of course.
You could potentially have, where you could have people playing with a keyboard against people who are playing with a controller. And then you have the question of, okay, well, what does the game do to adjust whether they're playing with a controller or whether they're playing with a keyboard and mouse? Is there any kind of correction for that? Because, I don't think anybody can argue that a controller is more accurate
No,
than a
you're
keyboard
wrong.
and mouse.
No,
No.
I don't think so.
I'm saying
you,
no. I said I don't think that you could argue that a controller is more accurate than a keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, you
A
can't.
controller and mouse, a keyboard and mouse is 1,000 times better than using any handheld controller.
I can agree with that.
And if you start running franchises from a PC community into a console, where you have some people on your Call of Duty server playing with a keyboard and mouse, and some people playing with a controller,
if
you could run into problems.
Keyboard and mouse, why would they not be?
Well, that's just the thing. They're trying to move into a console market with controllers in a PC gaming environment, and I have a feeling it's just going to not be good, where either they're going to have to choose that they're going to start developing things solely with controllers and force the Steam players and the marketplace to go towards a controller route, which would piss off a lot of people. Or
I don't think so.
They could just do what they're doing now and just leave it as customize your keyboard and mouse as you want it. Or you can use your fucking controller, plain and simple.
No, I could counter argue that. I mean, one of my favorite PC games that I've played recently. I'm just going to I'm going to plug this a little bit here. Is Astbreed, Astebreed, Astbreed, and that game is PC, but you must use a controller for it.
No, you don't. You can play it on keyboard and mouse.
Can you?
Yeah.
Have I missed
Maybe.
Problem solved.
I could very well, but honestly, I think it controls way better with a controller.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Some games definitely control better with a controller than mouse and keyboard.
Okay, well, my argument here is, when you buy, like, you're gonna have like the Steam OS. So does that mean like if you buy a game on your PC, are you going to be able to then move to your Steam box and play it there?
Yes.
Why wouldn't you be able
Yes.
to?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would imagine.
So let's say I buy a first-person shooter game. Okay, I buy it on my Steam account. Cool. I'm going to go over to my Steam box and play it with my buddy. Can I do that?
Sure.
Yes.
They already let you load it onto multiple PCs. Why wouldn't they?
Can you play like shooters? Like, say if I bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare and bought it on my Steam account, I could play it with my buddy on the same account?
Sounds like a good time.
I would say if it's got multiple controller ports on the box, then I would say they'd have to have some sort of local multiplayer. And even beyond that, Valve's pretty good to their customers.
Yeah, they are.
I don't think they pull that crap.
I think the Valve box would be like it'd be a strange thing, and
Oh yeah, be weird as hell.
But anyways, we've gone way off topic. It was we were supposed to be talking about Capcom again. Jesus.
Well, no, I was actually going to go into that there.
Yeah.
And I think that with like a thing like this, what Queasy was trying to say is that bringing Capcom into a community like this would be like, okay, like Gene was saying, you have like the console players or the PC players, and any PC players might miss out on like new console things. So what's not to say bring all of these good characters and bring all of these good franchises over to Valve and say, hey, now that you have this on your PC or your Valve box or whatever the hell it's called, or Steam box, you get to experience that no matter if you are a console gamer or a PC gamer.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really good at making sure everybody gets a good experience with every game, and Capcom games would just it'd be great on Valve.
Yeah. Also, Monster Hunter on PC.
Mm-hmm.
Don't they have something like that already?
I don't know.
There's an MMO called Raiders, but that's not very good.
Oh, I thought there was something hacked that you could play with it. But anyways,
You can always play on the PS2 and the Wii emulators.
So yeah, I guess to wrap up this episode, I guess we'll all give our input as to who we would like to see actually get Capcom. I guess who would buy Capcom, and we'll start off with Dan. Who would you like to see?
Number one for the industry, I'd want Sony. Number two would be Konami, and then Nintendo.
Okay.
Sony by leaps and bounds, though, for me.
Okay. And Scott?
Number one for me, I think, would be Nintendo. Just simply because, their history is just so rich with so many good games. It would just make a brand new whole league of new games that would be great for a generation of people who missed all of these great games like Mega Man and Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
Number two for me would be Konami. Like I said in previous rant, just a whole bunch of like really good characters put together would make some great games. And my third is actually NetherRealm Studios, because I am at base a fighting gamer, and I think NetherRealm Studios getting their hands on characters from Street Fighter would make a very, very good game.
Okay. And Paul?
Number one for me would be Nintendo, just because of the history, like Scott said. And with Nintendo, I think I feel 100% safe to know that the series of the games would be made with quality, especially on the Wii U, since the Wii U has been taken off. So that's one of the reasons I think it would be really good to utilize the tablet and all that stuff. Number two would be probably Konami, I'm thinking. Konami also has been really good in the gaming market and has made really great games. I can't really think of too many like bad games compared to the great games they made. And number three would be Valve, just because bringing all those to the PC while also to the console would be really interesting of how they would set that up.
Okay. And Gene?
I think I'd probably have to stick with Nintendo as my first choice, just because, again, with the history, we already have seen enough from Nintendo and Capcom just to know what we're going to get out of that equation.
Mm-hmm.
But then my second would definitely have to be Sony, because I would like to see some of the franchises that Capcom has, like Killer Instinct and other things, end up on PlayStation once more. And with their network, the way that it works, where it's not a charge to play on it in Versus, I would just absolutely enjoy that. And I would have to say, after thinking about it now, I'd say my third choice probably would be Valve. Just because, I kind of would like to see what the outcome would be of having all of those franchises be released inside of Steam and have all of these games that, they would go back Mega Man 1, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4. You'd see it all in the Steam marketplace, and you'd be able to buy all those classic games that you played while you were growing up for like 99 cents on a summer sale.
Mm-hmm.
And I could just foresee myself spending way too much money on that.
Okay, and as for myself, I think it's pretty apparent. I would like to see Capcom also go with Nintendo, just for the fact, again, because of their history, and for the fact that I think Nintendo and Capcom would both benefit from the deal tremendously. The return of possibly some new series that have been buried for way too long. Maybe Capcom would also push Nintendo into, hey, let's go back to our roots and let's try and do more of this 2D platformer stuff that really, really worked well, that really captured people. Again, Mega Man, Magic Sword, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Those were all fantastic platformers, and now we're lucky if we get to see a new Mega Man anytime soon for any console for that matter. So I would love to see Capcom be bought by Nintendo, and honestly, I think Nintendo would probably very much regret not doing it. If anybody else buys them out, like any of the other consoles, I don't know. I have a feeling that Nintendo would suffer pretty badly from it. So I guess that's about it for that. Thank you guys for joining me for the podcast. Again, that was Dan Queasy. We got Scott, we got Paul, and we got Gene, and myself, Stephanie Old World Gamer. Thank you all for listening, and hopefully we'll come at you guys with a new podcast again soon. See you later.
Take care, everyone.
Later, folks.
Bye-bye.
See you.